Hey y'all, welcome to the Standing on Business podcast, where ambition meets action. From career moves to life lessons,
our podcast is dedicated to supporting you as you navigate both the personal and professional growth journey.
Ultimately giving you the confidence to always stand in your truth.
Hey y'all, welcome back to season 2 of Standing on Business podcast. I'm your co-host Bianca.
And I'm your co-host Amari.
And we're so excited to get started with season 2.
Season 2 is crazy.
Yes,
better.
We are back.
And better.
We're
than
back.
ever.
Yes.
Same little setup as before, but looking a little refreshed, a little refined.
Grown.
Real grown.
Look, what we said, the 30s?
30s or 30s. Yeah, no, 30s. It's so funny because literally today is my birthday. Yeah, so grown for real. Today I'm 30, and that is insane to even think about. But I feel like even in that, there's so much wisdom that I'm bringing into this new season, both in life and to the podcast, that I'm super excited about. And now that I'm journeying the 30 Clubs with you, you can kind of show me the ropes, girl.
I know. I've only been there for a year and a half. Yeah. So, I've learned a lot. And also I hope y'all learned a lot in season 1. We talked about who we are. You got to know more about us. Personal growth, how to network. But, season 2, we're taking it to the next level. So you're going to learn more about strategy, more about collaborations, which we'll get into today, and just more about how to take these gems and really stand on business.
100%. Because, that's always the mission. That's always our goal. Yeah. And I think, in our previous season, we did a lot of laying the groundwork, talking about credentials. I know I personally credentials you guys down to the ground.
Yeah.
But we really wanted to state our claim in being, rooted in realness of, what it's like to have a corporate job and what that, entails, and what it's like to be in a formal capacity. But in season 2, we really want to get a little bit more comfortable with y'all.
We do.
The couch. Yeah, we're on the couch. You're already leaning back. Really allow you guys to have more insight into our personalities, our personal growth stories on the creative and entrepreneurial side. And that's really the essence of today's episode, which is, titled Creative Collaborations. Yes. Because when you're in this realm of the creative or entrepreneurial landscape, collaboration is the real currency.
100%.
100%. Yeah. And so we're kind of flipping our show on its head to kind of give you the real of the real, and all the background stuff for, the creative and entrepreneurial journey. So, in this episode, we're going to get a lot into how to pick the right business partners and collaborators, how to keep your creativity sparked amongst all of, the noise in the background that's in the creative space, and also avoiding common missteps in both the entrepreneurial landscape and in the creative industry.
I feel like that's important because it's just we talked so much about networking, right?
Yes.
Season 1, we networked y'all out.
Oh, yeah.
But y'all know how to meet people, make connections. But I do love that you also said how the connection is the currency.
Yeah.
So I think we should dive into just what that actually means, because to me, I've seen just collaborations help so much in my business. We've seen it help in corporate, but it helps you to grow because when you meet the right people, you can ascend higher.
Yeah. And later in the season, we might get into it with an episode or not. So here's a little teaser. But, your network is really your net worth. And I think the older you get or the more versed that you get into your career, no matter what that is, you really see that to be true.
Right. And also, I would say just with the collaborations, how we're about to dive into it, we've seen this play out. I love bringing up media, right?
Yeah.
But we always see just those powerful collaborations, but we want to really teach y'all how can you bring that to what you're doing to help you really grow. So as we talk about collaborations, I think about you talk about visibility and then also value. And sometimes with collaborations, I think I've seen it doesn't always equal.
It's not always equally yoked. And that's fine, I think, in certain stages of your business or when you're pivoting and you want to say yes to everything just to get stuff on your resume. And you're okay, I'll take this project just for the experience. But I do think over time, you have to find your alignment in certain spaces, whether that's entrepreneurship and it's business and it's real estate, or if it's, you want to get into what we're doing and it's podcasting and it's engineering and it's, the behind the scenes stuff. I think at a certain point, you have to know what it is that you bring to the market and stand on the price that it costs to be the boss,
No. And then you also picking that person that you're going to do it with. As we see, sometimes it happens to where they come to you. And that is always a conversation of, okay, am I going to say yes? Is it valuable? Am I going to say no? But like once you say yes, you have to keep assessing if this collaboration is bringing you currency, and it might not always be in the form of monetary, right?
Yeah.
Because we've seen, or I've seen like just with like social currency, I think I've talked about this before, intellectual currency, there's a lot of different capital that you gain with these different collaborations. And I would say even no matter what side or like what, I guess like area you are in your business, you could always collaborate in some way, whether that is simply with marketing, you need more help. Social media, people are always
always need hands, always need hands. No, I think a really great example of what you're speaking to that might like our listeners may be able to resonate is the recent blow up of Streamer University.
Yes.
Like that happened earlier this year, but I think that's such a great example of, you know, creatives and entrepreneurs from all different creeds and walks of life all over the country, even out of the country. I think there was like a couple guys that were like from Brazil or some stuff like that. Yeah, some international students. But also like thinking of it in that model of like, all of these people had specific value to bring, whether they had 1 follower or 100 million followers. And in collaboration, you realize like, oh, like, you know, your audience may like my type of content, but they've never had the perspective or the view of getting to know me because we've never been in the same space. And I think the same can be true, you know, outside of something as public as streaming. That can happen in a real, authentic way if you're making the time and putting forth the intentional effort to maximize the value of your network. Like to your point earlier in the show, you mentioned how like last season we were like, oh my God, network. And now we're getting into like, how do you actually utilize your network and application for it to be beneficial and eventually, you know, productive and it's tangible.
And 100%, like I love that example of Streamer University because, like, you know, I don't really watch the Twitch.
No, same, I don't know.
But I did during that. Like I actually got on. I'm on the phone like with a friend. We're watching different streams talking about what's happening. But that model worked of them collaborating, and then we saw like a lot of the smaller influencers or our streamers, they were able to get on big platforms. And I think that's always, and it has helped me in my own personal business with collaborating with another entity or media brand that has a bigger platform. But then also I brought the value of the corporate side that, you know, that they also needed. Cause like, so your value and that exchange is super important. So that's a great example.
No, and I think you segue a really great conversation starter, which is like, what is the value of having certain dynamics? Like when you talk about the collaborations you're doing, what type of collaborations are they and how do they work and do they actually work? So like thinking of like, okay, am I making a creative collaboration where this person is doing the exact same thing as me, and you know, we're 2 sides of one house coming together to like create this thing, whatever the case may be. So like for us, it could be that we have other podcasters on and they come and we, you know, they're on our show, we go to their show.
Yes. Or pretty equal. I feel like that's what people think about when they think collabs.
Yes. But you could also be like a creative versus an influencer. I think those are 2 different things. And honestly, there's a lot of conversation around that because I think that is the collaboration type that's the most like convoluted, as it's the same thing. And it's not. It's not. I feel like a creative is someone who just lives to create. It's like a passion project. It's something that's on their mind, or it's something of substance, or it's to honor someone. And I think with an influence, you could want to gain influence based on whatever that thing is for you that is your passion or is your talent. But it's like a certain DNA that I feel like those people have. It's a little different because it's like I could care about what your cause is all day and even want to support it. But is that a cause that I want to stand behind and go out and like protest or like put on a t-shirt and like advocate for? I don't know. And I think that is the difference between the 2. I was like, what are your thoughts? Because I feel like you're very much so in this space.
I have thoughts, and I would say I sometimes function as both in what I do. But then sometimes I do have to put on that hat of like, no, I'm Bianca, you know, the operator, CEO, more of that sense, and not the influencer. And I think I saw something recently and it was like saying about artists, which is perfect for this. They're like, like I'm a musician. I'm not always a content creator. I'm a designer. I'm not always a content creator. And sometimes people with influencers that we've seen, like people influence in so many different capacities. And some people say, can you really be labeled as an influencer, or Is it, is it a title or is it what you are influencing?
Yeah.
And I think it could be both. But if you're talking about in regards to like a business and a true collaboration, I find it's super helpful to have an influencer like marketing strategy for whatever you're doing, whether you are a creative, whether you have a small business, corporations. I've seen now corporations are hiring content creators and influencers on a W-2. Like this is like different.
Yeah, no, this is new.
Yes.
Brand new. But it's real. And I think to your point, knowing the difference in where you stand on that line of the spectrum and also being able to understand what you need based on where you stand helps to like build the validity and the confirmation of whatever your brand is.
Correct.
Like it's easier to say, or not even easier, I just think it makes it more streamlined rather when you know that you're a creative and what your missing pieces are versus like, I want to be an influencer. And so I'm going to say that I'm an influencer, but it's like, are you really living in that bubble? Are you really operating in that environment? Because there are nuances and you will miss your mark as a creator being so hyper fixed on influencing when that's not necessarily what you're called to do, or even what it is that you want to do. You just like the way that the verbiage sounds, or you feel like that those two things are synonymous when they're not. And I think vice versa, like a lot of influencers like struggle with creating after so long because it's like, okay, I can take a prompt.
They're burnt out.
Yeah, like I can take whatever a brand gives me and I can make the video in this way. But when it comes to that creative direction, sometimes influencers lack that because they might be someone who rides current trends and that's how they stay relevant. So I think understanding where you're situated on that spectrum and then realizing what you need based on that is really, really like keen and smart.
Right.
And something people should do more of. But
I have so many thoughts. That gap analysis, look, the corporate side, the gap analysis, it's important.
It is.
I know. But I definitely have a lot of thoughts when you talk about like people saying like, oh, I want to be an influencer. I kind of hate it. Like I do.
Oh my God.
It's my ick.
It's a hot take.
That's my ick. And I think I have opinions about it just because I've, started from the bottom and kind of, done my thing to where it's just like, I've seen people come and will ask me like, well, how can I be an influencer? And I'm like, well, what value are you adding to whatever you're trying to put out? And most times they're just like, I just want to be an influencer. I'm like, well, like, are you good at telling people about food? Are you trying to be a foodie?
What's your thing?
Yeah, what is your thing? And sometimes they're just like, no, I just want to be me. And I'm like, okay, you could do that. And like, there may be people that like you find that will, follow you. And
does your audience want you to do?
Yeah.
Like,
But like, I always say, find whatever, we talk about purpose a lot in season 1. Like, whatever your purpose is and you genuinely want to create, put it out there and people will find you.
Yeah.
I don't think you should start off with the mindset of, I want to be an influencer. Because I hear it so much. I do.
Yeah. And I think, too, it's like taking into account what all does that actually entail? Like, you say that you want that, but do you really want that? Like, have you taken the time to isolate and to study, like, okay, this is how this will call on my energy. So I'll have to make this many videos per day and I have to be consistent. Like, we talk about this all the time. It's not even in the content creation. It's the editing that takes you out. So it's like, how dedicated are you to that? Because I know, but it's all a matter of consistency. And so I think another type of brand connection or another type of collaboration that we want to touch on is creative and brand, because I think
that's a good one and easy.
Yes.
Not as easy, but it's contracts. You have deliverables. This is what you are expected of this brand, and I can get more into that. But
let's get into it. I think this is a perfect opening. All I was going to say to close out the previous one is that, like, a lot of times I think people that are creative or influencers look to each other to be the brand. Like, that's another thing of because people oftentimes are their brand nowadays. They're like, oh, if I attach myself to this person or to this podcast or this influencer, it's going to warrant me XYZ followers or attention or, as a residual. And it's like, that person's still a person. This isn't a brand. And that's also a different dynamic. So you've worked with several brands. So I think, shed a little light on what that was like and how it's different.
I would say that's when you get into the corporate side of creativity and the creative space is when you're dealing with brands. Circle. They're corporate. They are businesses. Everybody should understand when they reach out to you, email you. One, we talk about this, but you make sure you are ready to make sure you're ready to have a brand reach out to you. I'll say that.
Yeah.
That's the first and foremost. I see a lot of people who want to collaborate with me or collaborate with, they say they want to collaborate with a brand, but I look at their brand pages, their front doors, and they're not brand ready.
Yeah.
And that's hard for me. That's hard. Some people don't receive that critique well of like, you have to clean it up to where whatever your brand is, there's always an alignment with something.
Yeah.
But is it the brands that you say that you want to work with?
Yeah.
Is always the question I ask people. And a lot of times
the answer is no.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that brings us to like kind of the some takeaways of like the intentionality in any collaboration that you have. First is that your intentions and your expectations are aligned.
Correct.
Like, are your mission and your objectives aligned? Like, are we trying to go for the same thing, just maybe at a different angle?
Right.
And like, I have, one piece of the puzzle, you have the other. And when we come together, we can create a full picture. I think if those things aren't there, then maybe second guess whether or not this is the right alignment or the right collaborative opportunity for you in this moment. Because sometimes it's a matter of timing too. Like It could be the right thing just at the wrong time because somewhere someone may not have their like project or their deliverable or their budget fully matured to be able to offer it up. And it's like, in a couple months we can circle back to this. And I think that that's okay too. But just knowing when to hold them and fold them.
No, I guess to my thing is like, don't be disappointed. Like when working with brands, because
it's business.
It's business. And like you would have people that will reach out to you like so excited. You do these meetings and it doesn't go through. But just like Amari said, like we taught y'all in season 1, follow up, make sure you are, staying connected. You being just when you make genuine connections, you go farther.
Real recognizes real for real. And I hate saying that in that way, but like it's so true. Like in any situation, like similarly to like in real life, when you can tell that someone is coming up to you or wants to be in your realm for whatever benefit is tied to you or, whatever access they can gain in being, in proximity, like you can feel that in the workspace. And I feel like if you have that discerning spirit, like tap into it and take heed. But also know that it's okay. Because I think a lot of times, too, when it comes to collaboration, we idolize a lot. And I don't want to take this down another road, that I'll holy roll and get us into the faith quick. But it's true. I think a lot of times we make idols out of collaboration. And yes, you bring a lot of value. And yes, you need people. I don't think that any of us were born here to operate alone in purpose. But you have to make sure that you're not dealing with a wolf in sheep's clothing. Like you're truly getting what it is that you signed up for in partnership and that you're also being what you signed up for, what someone else signed up for. But yeah, it's a lot of ways that can go. And I think, doing the research and, making sure that you're doing that inventory within yourself, that internal audit of like, does this still feel good? Am I compromising or sacrificing my brand's integrity? Am I compromising or sacrificing my personal integrity? And I think we say this all the time on this side of the table of like all money isn't good money.
Yes.
And we're very quick to say no to things that we don't feel attached to. Like if it's not, it doesn't matter what it is. If I can't rest easy with it at night, it's not for me.
No, there's a lot of times, and we both had to say no of just like, this doesn't align to what I say.
To great opportunities, by the way. Great opportunities.
Yeah, but it's just like, we know our mission, like mission and vision are always your guiding light. It truly is.
Sure.
So it's just like when you get those opportunities and it's just like, I don't know if this really resonates with my audience or what I say I want to do. It's like most of the time that gut check is when you probably need to say.
Yeah. Just scale it back.
Scale it back.
Scale it back.
And sometimes it could be, and it's okay to say, hey, can I have a conversation or multiple conversations? Like you as the influencer, the creative, the brand, whether you're doing brand or brand, like we talked about all the collaborations. Yeah. It's okay to take a step back and say, hey, maybe we can, talk about this a little bit more so I could get more clarity.
Yeah.
And then I may feel better about it. But sometimes the first feeling is the right feeling.
Yeah. And I think too, another thing, like just to wrap that up is what is the response to how you feel?
Yeah.
Like when you put that on the table, how does your partner respond? And now this kind of feels like a relationship and therapy talk, but it's real. Yeah. It's all full circle. And I think, you, again, going back to the timing piece, it may not be right now, but if, something that looked promising falls through and then you're treated differently after that, that's also an indicator that maybe that won't be, a point of alignment later on down the road. And because of whatever transpired, like that might be, you know, rejection is protection. So good riddance. You never know. You never know.
No, I think we gave a lot about like the vision. Hopefully you're a lot clearer when it comes to like how to even just start a collaboration conversation.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like we help with. But I do want to switch us to like the execution part. Like, what are the things that the people need to know to like even get to get these collaborations done? I think that would be a great way to give y'all some gems before, you know, some future episodes where you have some amazing people that will tell their stories. So.
Yes, no, I think, you know, just to break it down, when you talk about collaborations, one of the first things that you need to even be able to do is pitch your idea to someone. Like, you know your purpose, you know what it is that you're trying to like bring Earthside or what you're trying to get going. But whoever you're trying to connect with may not. They may be already a fan, or they might be someone who's already interested in your line of work. But only you know your vision 100% the way that it was given to you or assigned to you. And so I think, you know, the first thing that I want to talk about is pitch decks.
Yeah.
Because until we had this like sector in our lives of like entrepreneurship and creative entrepreneur, I was never making pitch decks for anything. I never understood like, how do people get brand partnerships, or like, you know, are these brands reaching out? Are the creatives reaching out? Like, how does this all work from an operational standpoint? Because again, I think people see, you know, glitz and glam, but it's like, no, again, this is a business.
It's a business. And pitch decks are so important. But I feel like you have done pitch decks in corporate. It just was for a project or something.
Yes, but it's different because I feel like the elements of a pitch deck in the creative space is more about like your brand story, you know, like where are you coming from? What created this concept? What are you trying to, you know,
where are you going?
Yeah, where are you going with it? I think it talks more about like the proposed collaboration, which is a very big piece of like, okay, that's great that you've told me everything about you, but like, how can I now come in and help you? And then what's the ROI for me? Like, what do I get in this collaboration? Because we say this all the time of like, nothing should be transactional, but it's like everything is transactional, even when it's authentic. So it's like, okay, how do you incorporate, you know, the why as to why you're coming to whoever in your pitch deck to sell them not only on your thing and your idea, but also them being involved in it.
Correct. And I say with like pitch decks, as I like do it for myself or for other clients, I say start off with the value, just like you're saying.
Yeah.
Of like, obviously you are talking about what your business is, giving the name of your business, description. But honestly, I really start off with my mission, and the next slide after that is usually the value of how this collaboration could work. Then I go into the stats. So it's like early on, you've seen that like how I can help you. Let me further show you my receipts.
I love that. Because I was going to say I also think that in a good pitch deck, there's some element of data or analytics.
100%.
Like, that is so key to be able to showcase, like, because it helps to further like soften the deal. Like of, hey, I've reached this many people in this amount of time, or I know that I have this reach, you know, when I make a reel and it's 60 seconds versus 30 seconds. And I feel like you have more experience in that. So I feel like for you, you know, can you detail a little bit about how you've used analytics and pitch decks and like maybe how that made or broke whether or not you got the collaboration?
Yes, I would say with insights, I'm a big data person as well.
Yeah.
So like, it's just fun. It's fun for me. I watch my insights all the time. So I feel like with insights, when I think about it in terms of like my pitch deck, honestly, your insights are like one slide, maybe 2 slides. You've been doing this for a real, real long time.
Yeah.
But most of the time, my decks are like 9 to 10 slides.
Okay.
The whole storyboarding, like telling is like 9 to 10 slides.
I love that.
And that's hard for some people to put. They're like, I don't. Yeah.
I put everything.
Yeah. And it's like, honestly, it's a business. So it's like a lot of these people, they don't have time to really look to see. So it's like, what are the snapshots that they need to know? And when it comes to insights, not to get real technical, but social media, you're always making sure like if you have like super high views versus like maybe your followers aren't what you feel like it should be, put those views also in that insight. Like that helps you like show all the things that you have as your assets. So social media, when it comes to Instagram, TikTok, Substack, X, like all those things are your assets. And like even if you have, say, an in-person group, like you have a membership club, those people, the number of people that show up to your club or the number of people you have regularly that you talk to, that's all valuable. That's all insights. And I think people only think about insights as like what they see from like the social media perspective. But if you bring people, if you could say, I could promise you 100 people tomorrow to a brand, like, or to get their product in front of 100 people, that's so valuable, and that should be in your pitch deck.
100%. You know what I just realized too? It's so funny. In our first episode of season 1, we kind of outlined how people should do their elevator pitches. Yeah. And so now that we're talking about a full pitch deck, it feels very full circle. So I love that. And I guess before we move on to our next segment, B, I wanted to ask you, you know, high level top 3 things to include in a pitch deck. You know, there's so many things that we could talk about. Like we have of as far as like the analytics piece, you know, a headshot, a bio, a newsletter, like examples of all the things that you could put in there. But you said you like to limit your decks, you know, no more than like 10 slides. I think for me, my top 3 would be that it's clear, it's concise, and it is captivating. Okay. So for you, what would be your 3 things to make sure that you have in a pitch deck to really secure the deal?
I think it really needs to be, if I'm reading it, your brand and a storyboard. Like truly, like I know what, you know, XYZ brand is based off these 10 slides, however many slides. That's number 1. That's always, because that's how you're going to sell it. Yeah. That's how you're going to bring it home. And then 2 is just making sure that you do have those necessary parts, because like we said, the business piece is like they are looking for certain things. It's a checklist to where it's like you are putting your mission, how it benefits them, your insights, and then as well as how, I would say also like who we worked with in the past.
Ooh,
like
that's
the
a
previous
big one.
Partnerships, the previous collaborations.
Yeah, because I feel like that it helps to kind of build more equity on that landscape of like, oh, for you, I feel like after Essence Baby, it was up. But even prior to that, you had worked with like Somebody's Son. You had worked with local brands in New Orleans. Yes. And like it kind of just all snowballs up until when you are pulling in those larger collaborations, because like now you're working with BET Plus.
Thank you, girl.
And, you know, more things. And maybe, I don't know, do you want me saying all of these?
No,
okay, I was going to say.
Good. I would say and that's a good, I think, I'm glad you brought that up,
because the proof is in the pudding. Let's be clear about those credentials. I'll never stop bringing that up. Let's be very clear.
Thank you, girl.
About those credentials, babe.
I would say as you're starting, when you're just starting, if you're saying, okay, I have a local brand, I feel like people kind of downplay local brands a lot. I don't know why, but I have a local brand. And
rookie mistake.
It is
that is a rookie mistake.
Local brands are very important. And then you have even more of a audience to tap into that's right there in your backyard. Yeah. And I would say as you're starting out and you have a local brand, you're just starting whatever brand you have, whatever collaborations you first do, like even if it's with your friends, if they got a logo, put that logo on your pitch deck. Like, I'm serious. Both of my early brands are brands in New Orleans that we started together. So it's just, it helps that, you know, when you have friends, like you're going to find people in your space, and we taught y'all how to go to networking events and what to do. And so you'll find other people that are going in the same lane as you, and you'll find people to do those early collaborations that will help you get those big deals. Yeah. And I think too, to that point, like even if you're scared or nervous, you're doing this like elbow to elbow with people who feel exactly the same as you. And it's also super nice when you stay the course with it and you can look back. Like even for us, we've been connected for what? 5-6 years now, and where we were 5-6 years ago is a lifetime difference than where we are now. But we are like-minded, and we've stayed, you know, consistent with the things that we said that we wanted to do. And like, could where we are now be possible in year 1 of our relationship? Probably not. We didn't have all the tools, but that didn't mean that they weren't going to come and that this wasn't going to exist one day. And I think that there's a lot of value in that of, you know, connecting peer level and lifting as you climb, because you don't want to be the only one at the top and then you look around and there's no one else there to share it with you, or you're constantly the person who's putting people on because you didn't take the initiative to try to build community as you ascended. No, I love that. Yeah. That's a good like way to kind of like wrap that up. And as we talk about the execution piece of you know, collaborations, because there's so many different segments.
A way to do it, baby.
Yes, there's a way to do it. And I think another piece that people kind of often forget about, in which I'm diving into this lane, which I never thought I would. Like, let's talk
about it. What is the lane?
The lane is public relations, y'all. And like,
oh my gosh, I can't. Are we gonna do our story time about
Oh, we can.
Stop. Okay, yes.
You want to?
Why not? It's season 2 premiere. Let's do it.
Okay, so we'll tell a little story first, and then we'll talk about the importance of PR and publicists. So I would say last year was my first year being able to be a media partner with Essence Festival in New Orleans. So if you haven't been, Essence, the magazine, very legacy staple brand, and the Black community is so important to Black culture. And so I was able to be a media partner, work with Essence, Girls United, and go to the media room, do all the things. Well, I had no idea what I was doing. And if you saw me back there and you helped me out, I appreciate you. I really do. But I had no idea. We made it work. Amari came down. She was, came down. She was like, oh, yeah, we're going to have a great time. And I'm like, yeah, so I have to work. And I don't know what I have to do. And it's so funny because was it the first day we went to, the first day was Thursday.
Yep.
So we had the media day.
Yep.
And so it was calm. I feel like that's when it was calm before the storm.
Oh, 100%. I feel like we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. So I'm going to rewind it just a little bit. When Bianca got the call, or I think the email that you were going to be a part of, Essence Media last year, she was just kind of telling me about it. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I love this for you. If there's anything that I can do to support, let me know. And she was like, well, actually, I kind of need an assistant. I kind of need someone to capture content. I kind of need just an extra set of hands. And I was like, I kind of need a trip. So sure, we'll make it happen. I'll come down and help out. And you guys know I'm very behind the scenes social media. This is really the only time that I'm ever public facing, which,
getting better.
We're getting better at it. But me a year ago, very different girly. And I just was dedicated to supporting my friend at that point in any way that I needed to. Very much Destiny's Child of my mom is my hairstylist, my seamstress, my costume designer, anything that Bianca needed, I was I will be there to support you. And I feel like
you did a great job.
Thank you. But saying that to say, I went down there under the guise that I was the NOLA Collective PR, that I was publicist for her company. And I don't know how we faked it till we made it that entire weekend, because to your point, the way that we started was completely different than how we ended. We always say that weekend changed our life just by being in the right rooms, connecting with the right people. And just the fact that it was in the framing of me being her publicist. I feel like us having that connection or that collaboration kind of legitimized your business. It was oh, she got a team, this girl with this pay. Okay, let me circle back. And
I had VCS footage. I had everything. People behind the camera. It was
me. But I mean, even without speaking to those pieces, I feel like it was just nice to be able to be on that journey with you and to learn. I think for both of us, it was nice to be able to say oh, this is how this works. And for me specifically, I remember telling you, I think we were leaving in a media room and Don Richards had just left.
Oh, yes.
Don Richards had just left. And who was the other singer? There was another singer.
Was it Tidra Moses?
Tidra Moses was the other singer. Yes. They both were fabulous. Oh, my God. And I was sitting smack dab in the middle of the room. I'll never forget that media room because I was so scared to say something.
Yeah, it's different.
It is different when you're in the room, but at the same time, it took away a lot of my imposter syndrome of feeling like I shouldn't have been in that room, because I saw oh, this is what you guys are doing back here. We can do this.
Yeah, they're
we can do this and do this well. Yeah. Yes, and I think in a year's time, it has given us so much confidence. We now have relationships with certain people where it's it doesn't feel like we're walking on ice or eggshells or on ice, because we've connected with them in an authentic way. And it's I remember when you gave me an umbrella or a fan and when it was super hot in Essence, and we have something to kind of call us back. But
I don't know. It was a great weekend.
It was amazing.
And you did great. I'm very thankful, y'all. But to her role essentially as a publicist and being my PR person.
Oh yeah. How was that actually a value add? Because I was just down there living, trying to help, child.
Yes, it is a value add when you have somebody. So there's so many different ways PR works, right? In relation to how we did it was obviously she's collaborating with me, but as my friend, but also she was my advocate. So going into those rooms, she would be okay, what space can she be in?
Front and center. Every time.
She was making sure me and my brand were able to capture what we needed.
Yeah.
She talked to people for me. She got contacts and stuff. But when it comes to the relation of collaborations, most people don't know. Well, as we talked about brands and the pitch decks, sometimes you're pitching to PR firms that are representing these brands and not the actual brand themselves.
It's a representative.
Yeah.
And that's literally their job, is to be able to scope out like what's going to be the next best thing for us to collaborate or to get our, new product out. Like that's another thing too, is like, we don't know what exists behind the boardroom of like strategy. Like these corporations and these brands have new products that are coming out all the time, and you never know how you might align with something in the future. So even if you're not, again, going back to timing, it may not be your season in that moment, but they'll think of you and think of your brand and how it can be of benefit to them in the future.
And I would say another thing of just like, as people are, if assuming whoever is starting, you are like thinking, oh, I got to directly reach out to, I don't know, Coca-Cola. Sometimes it's the PR firm, like I said, that's representing them. And so to build relationships with the PR firms or people that you see, like I think a tip in a gym is when you see press releases, most of the time they'll have the PR firm name in it, and or the person at least writing it, so that will know that's a
really good gym for real.
I think people think like I could say all day, oh, it's the PR firms that you got to reach out to, but it's hard. It's harder to find the PR firms than it is to find the brands and like say influencer managers. Sometimes you could directly reach out to them on like LinkedIn, which you talked how important LinkedIn is.
Yes.
But sometimes it's those, and we say relationships and connections is key, is that like these PR firms that you got to do some digging. You got to do some
relationship building. And it has to be real. Like going back to making sure that it is actually something that you're aligned with. Like for me, I love Sephora. I've actually worked for Sephora for like a hot second, literally like 2 weeks. But saying that to say like, I love that brand. And so reaching out to someone like that or a company like that, there's also like in like a Sephora, there's makeup, there's hair care, there's fragrance. Those sub pillars of a brand like Sephora may have all different reps.
Yes.
And so it's like thinking and keeping that in mind of like, okay, like I like Sephora because I like the fragrance piece. Maybe I need to like really, connect with the person in fragrance or connect with the person in beauty and makeup because that's more of my thing versus thinking like, let me shoot my shot at Sephora, which is this powerhouse, when you could have done a more local connection capture.
It's those people that like you would never expect. It's like the person that's like making the decision.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. So with PR, I hope y'all take away from this that like PR is all about amplification. So whether you have a business, like I said, whether you're creative, influencer, brand, small business, like you finding somebody to either reach out to, do outreach, or you are trying to reach out or find somebody to help amplify your business. That's all public relations. And I think like I'm learning it as I've like added that side to my business of like, okay, I had media and it's like I'm giving information, but now I'm starting to represent people and like and help them with PR support because it's so important. And like I have a DJ and I have a singer. Too, like I've never been a DJ and I've never been a singer. So,
but they're trusting you.
But they're trusting me because I have the landscape, I have the view and the connections to amplify them in a certain way. So sometimes I think just the important thing is you could do it yourself, but maybe sometimes you have to find a friend or find somebody that will help do the amplification for you. So.
No, I love that. And I think you open up our next segment very beautifully of understanding, what to expect when you have those real world collaborations. Because again, we started this episode saying like, what if you get them or how to get them or what that looks like. But once you've gotten them, like, what is the expectation for you? And I think you've had a lot of great experiences with that. I think we've harped a lot on talking about, being authentic and being clear when making those connections. But I think another big thing that we don't talk about a lot when you're connecting is there's going to have to be compromise or negotiation at some point. Yeah. Like that's something that as a rule of thumb, you should just expect to compromise and being able to negotiate the leveraging power of what the collaboration is going to look like. But I think beyond that, there's a way to do that allows you to keep the integrity of your vision and to remain rooted in what it is that you bring to the table. And so, Bianca, I'm sure for you, like you just said, you have a singer on your hands now and a DJ, like amongst all of the other different hats that you wear. So like in an example of a real world collaboration, like how do you find the balance in compromising to meet the needs of your new, clients and clientele, while also saying like, this is the role that I serve for you, and I also serve all these other roles. So like, where do we meet in the middle?
I would say I don't, for me personally, and I'm a new PR girly, but I don't take on people right now that would like conflict with each other or conflict with like priorities.
I like that.
So like I have a male DJ and then a female singer. So where it's like, okay, well, there's, as I'm talking about what their like brand pillars are, it's like some of them align, some of them don't. But then also it's like, he likes different things and she does. Yeah. So it's like, it does. And like, I'm a different person as like being, I guess a founder and then coming from corporate. So like right now we all are happy. Yeah. It's equal. And so like, I won't right now take on, until I start hiring more people. I won't, with just me and like, my interns, I'm not going to bring on things that will conflict just yet. Cause like, I want us all to like start elevating together and like really build this out. Cause I'm just happy they trust me with helping them, with their brands and with their businesses. So I would just say that's my role right now. In the future, obviously it will change. Like I'll have to bring on more people and it will have to be like, I want to be very intentional and I want to use my corporate skills, like going into it of like, what is the strategy behind it and where do I see this brand as a whole going and how does everybody else fit in it so we can all elevate and grow. Yeah. And so I'm always thinking about it because I want to grow. But I know when you're growing and like you've been progressing fast, sometimes you do have to kind of step back and just kind of assess as we talked about. And right now I'm kind of assessing on that end while still like being able to pour into them and like get, have them have a good impact on their career.
No, I love that. And I think like, to your point, it's like you're learning this in a new landscape, but you're also being able to bring in like some of those formal components of like, hey, there's structure to this, even though we're, chartering a new path. And I think something that is a good like standing on business tip is when you are entering those new spaces or any just new dynamic, it is very important for you to have a clear objective and expectation outline. And I feel like the best way to do that is to get it in writing. I think that you need contracts. You need, I don't even know, like I wouldn't even say NDAs. I don't think you have to go that far. But I do think that whatever is being asked of you in your role and whatever those responsibilities look like, they need to be clearly defined and outlined, and both parties need to agree. And I think you can flip that the other way. Like if someone has a role and a responsibility to you, make sure that that's outlined. And I'll just be honest, like we've gone through that even with the podcast of like, we have friends or doing a favor. And it's like, we end up being misaligned sometimes in certain partnerships, or in the past we may have been just because we didn't do that groundwork in the front end.
It's important because it's like you could get into some sticky situations. Like, of course, we're going to do like sometimes the friend handshake, but even if you could send an email of just like, what is the recap? Like send those notes like after and say like, this is like hold people accountable. But then also when you start dealing with money, especially, you do have to have something in place. And even I would say even more important when you have people start working on your business, this is a tip for everybody who has a business or a brand. Please have them sign a contract. Whether they are an intern that is not getting paid, have them sign a contract and make sure you're putting something in about non-competes.
So, that's a definite gem. Yes, no, that sounds a little litigious. I think that we should have a conversation about that in the future. You just made me put a sticky note down of like, we need a lawyer to come talk to the people. I have a few friends in mind. We definitely can line it up. But I do think that that's an important point because there's a lot of loopholes in business. And the way that you start an interaction may not be the way that you end that interaction. Right. I always say that business, especially outside of corporate, it's like a marriage. I always equate marriage to being a business, and I think business is a marriage. It's like an inverse dynamic or a parallel dynamic. And I feel like your business partner, as well as your spouse, has the ability to change your life in the best of ways or the worst of ways. And so you just don't know what seasons you're going to go through with a person, and you really don't learn that until you marry them or you're in business with them. And I think the best way to kind of safeguard yourself proactively is kind of having a business prenup by having a contract. And so, I
would say you run into so many things when you first get started. And I think just with the collaborations that you would, run into, whether they come to you, you go to them, like always making sure you're staying true to like what you originally thought of for your brand or your business or for yourself is the important piece, to always remain true to you. And like, be open to feedback, be a sponge, but still make sure you are protecting that vision that you have for that business or brand, because these are babies. Like, these are all like, all your individual ideas are your little babies.
Yes. And me, I'm the protector. I like to protect everything of like, no, it's not perfect, or no, it's not right, or like, no, you're not going to do this. And so in all those no's, I think that's another thing to highlight is like, know the value of saying no, and know the value of when to say no and what to say no to, because everything isn't good. And it may feel that way. And even to like how we said, expect negotiations. Sometimes you just can't meet a common ground, and there's nothing wrong with that person or with you. It's just like, if you're doing the paperwork, if you get to that phase of things and it still isn't aligning for what it is that you need, it's okay to say no to that. Even if you've gotten so far in the process of drafting up contracts, if it's not what's for you, don't do it. You're going to save yourself so much time. And you will thank yourself later, because the way that you feel like maybe you've wasted time up until that point, imagine going through with it and then still having to walk back to point A of like, actually, I don't think that we should be in connection on this particular thing.
And it's like the old saying of like, the right people will find you along your 100%. Journey. Yeah, and we said like,
that's how we find each other.
Exactly. You can most likely go and start with friends, and that's okay, because those are the people that you don't have to explain too much about what your vision is. They're just here to support. They're happy. They're just like, we want to see you win, and that's the people you keep in your corner. Yeah, no, Bianca, that's so true. And I also think, the right people will be able to see your value before you ever have to explain it. Yes. Like, as long as you're being or moving in alignment, like how Bianca said, the right things will come to you. The right things will come and not only like attach and like help propel you, but they're going to like help elevate you and help you to grow in the ways that you want to grow. And I think that that's such a point of like, if it doesn't feel like that, then maybe that's not the collaboration you need. Exactly. So, no, I think we've dropped a lot of gems. 100%. About collaboration. So we do hope that you learned a lot, but we kind of want to have, a call to action and really have you all thinking as we go into season 2. Think about just a collab that you're dreaming of this year. And we definitely want y'all to tell us, wherever you listen to us, comment, send us a message, send us a DM. Yes, please reach out. Tell us what y'all are dreaming of this year, so we can start seeing like, all right, where is our audience heading? But also, you write it down and send it to us. It creates a reminder for yourself. So you may come back and see that comment or that DM, and you're like, oh, I actually said this. And however many, I come up with old messages all the time. No, like, I said that. Yeah, I do that with my notes all the time. Like, I'm like, oh, I was feeling like this. Like, girl, that was deep. Let's pull that out the archives. Let's pull it into reality. Yeah, no, it's real. It's real. And so those little reminders like really help you just keep going. So I think that's like a good way to probably start ending the episode. I feel like we just started and now we're ending. I feel like that went so fast, but also we here for a long time, not just a good time. So super happy to be back. Super happy to show you all of our new guests, all of our new content, all of our new discussions. And we appreciate you as always for staying tuned and sticking with us. But just know that we have a little bit more in store for season 2. It's double everything, babe. We're literally doubling up everything. It's so exciting. Everything. And we are always standing on business. Standing on business. Throughout the whole season. So we thank y'all so much for listening to us. Please listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts and watch us on YouTube. Yeah. And as always, follow us on Standing on Business Pod. And we love y'all and can't wait for a very successful season 2. Season 2. Yes. Here we are. Let's go. All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye. Bye.